Have you ever wondered about Social Security, when to take it, maybe early at age 62 or maybe wait to age 70? Have you ever wondered about life insurance? You know, is there greater value when you're young or old? Do you know what standard deviation is? How about risk? Do you know how much risk you're taking in your portfolio and maybe why you should know? All right, and do you know anything about in-service rollovers, where they might be a good thing? Well, folks, I want you to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about all those things.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Hi, welcome to our show. Listen, in this segment, I want to talk to you about Social Security. Now, if you did not know, most of us have to wait till full retirement age to get the full benefit, as they call it. And that depends on when you were born. That could be age 65, could be age 67, or anything in between. But if you didn't know, you can take Social Security actually early at age 62. Now, they're going to discount your benefit, typically 75% of what it would have been at full retirement age. Now, once you get to full retirement age, you can also wait to take Social Security. You can wait to age 70. And there's good reasons to do that, because each year you wait, they'll grow it by 8% plus whatever the CPI was. If you do the math, the difference between taking it at age 62 and taking it at age 70 is almost double. So if you don't have pension income or very little pension income, Social Security could be your greatest guaranteed account, and maximizing it is going to be very important. Now, and there's some cases where you can't do that and you have to take it early. That's fine, but that's all the more reason why you want to have a good income plan to make sure how it fits in with the overall picture. Now, there's some other good reasons why you might want to wait to take Social Security. What if you're that person that's stopped working, all right, and you've got a lot of money in your IRA accounts? Well, you're going to have a lot of room in that lower bracket, especially if you wait to take Social Security. That would be a great time to do some good tax planning and aggressively take money out of those IRAs, because guess what? You're buying out Uncle Sam in the low tax bracket. Now, we've been given a huge gift with the Tax Reform Act, that because where we were in the low bracket, maybe 15%, it's now 12%. Or if we were in the 25% bracket, it's now the 22% bracket. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that sunsets now in another 6-7 years, meaning it goes back to the old rates. So we have a huge opportunity in the next 6-7 years. If we're always going to be in that low bracket, for example, why wouldn't we be utilizing that bracket as much as we can to buy Uncle Sam out at 12 cents on the dollar versus 15 down the road? Now, another thing you have to consider when you're looking at Social Security is if you're married, the surviving spouse gets to keep, whoever dies first, I'm not going to pick on he or she, but whoever dies first, that surviving spouse gets to keep the greater of the two Social Securities. So sometimes in our planning, it might make great sense to have maybe one take it a little early, but let the other one, maybe the one that has the greater benefit, wait to age 70, because that's going to become the survivor benefit. So all the more reason why you want to take a look at this, you want to do an income plan and figure out how Social Security fits into it. So stay tuned. If you're retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years, join us for an informative live event. This event is all about you, the challenges you face, and the information you need to help you build the future that you want. There's no pressure to become a client. Our goal is simply to give you valuable information that you can use to make smarter financial decisions. We hope that by the time you leave this event, you'll be one step closer to your retirement goals.
We look forward to helping you plan to retire well. Are you retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years? Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and learn essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. 3 dates and locations to choose from. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Call 888-608-5825.
Hi, welcome back. Now listen, in this segment, I want to talk about life insurance. Now, when I was a younger man and I had my family, my wife and 3 kids, I found great value in life insurance because one of the fears I had is if anything ever happened to me, would my family be taken care of? So life insurance had great value to me when I was younger, so I could take care of that situation. But as I got older and I started to accumulate some assets and my kids grew up and they went out the door, I didn't necessarily see much value in maybe having that anymore. I maybe had some because if I wanted to leave a legacy or maybe leave more behind, then maybe I should keep some of it. But other than that, what was the real value? Well, there's several different reasons why you might want to consider life insurance in your planning. But let me just give you a couple to kind of give you a feel. First of all, let's say I'm that person who's a couple, we're both maybe drawing Social Security. Well, if you didn't know this, Social Security, when one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep the higher of the 2 Social Securities, but they're going to lose the lesser of them. So that's income that's going to be lost in the event that something happened to that first spouse. What if they have pension income? And maybe it doesn't have full survivor benefits, meaning the surviving spouse gets to keep all of it. Maybe they only get part of it. Maybe it's only half. Maybe it's 3/4. Well, the difference is going to be lost income. So they might lose some of the pension benefits. They could potentially lose, they're going to lose the lower of the Social Security, right? That's all lost income. Well, what if I had life insurance set aside to give that surviving spouse a death benefit that could replace then that lost income? That would be a good reason to maybe have life insurance to take care of that kind of event so that surviving spouse doesn't have to change their lifestyle in any significant way. Another reason you might want to have life insurance is, let's say I'm in a high tax bracket and I really want to convert a lot of my IRA maybe over to a Roth IRA, okay, because it's going to be a non-taxable benefit to my surviving spouse. But I don't want to pay tax on it now when I do the conversion into a Roth IRA because I'm maybe in a higher bracket and I don't want to pay all that income tax on it at the present time. Well, what if I had life insurance set aside so that it paid a death benefit that could be used solely to buy out Uncle Sam on my IRA when that event happened? Wouldn't you find that a valuable thing to do? So life insurance can have some great value when you're younger, but has also some value as you get older in our planning. So if you're somebody that wants to kind of maybe talk or take a look at that and see some reasons why it might be part of your planning, then give us a call.
Larry, I really appreciate you talking about those 2 topics, Social Security and life insurance. I think they're 2 things that often get overlooked and maybe not put to the top of a lot of people's planning like they should be. Social Security, we've had a lot of conversation lately about either delaying Social Security or taking it early or waiting until full retirement age. Lots of options out there, especially if you're married. Even with being single, there's different options. But when you're married, there might be some different strategies to use. In today's day and age, when we don't have as many pensions as we used to, there's some kind of theories out there that will allow you maybe to grow that Social Security for the survivor of the 2 in a marriage that kind of would almost act as your pension. It's that bigger a benefit. You get to keep the higher of the 2 as one passes, and that is a long-term benefit over time that might be a nice guaranteed income source for a surviving spouse if that situation was to happen. Also just with thinking about that, John, you're going to talk about life insurance here with kind of preparing this for a surviving spouse or legacy, right?
Yeah, and guys, I don't know if you've had this lately, but I've been in the fortunate position in talking with some of our clients about, hey, One of the biggest challenges I might face over the years is getting you to spend this money. We have a number of clients that have been so good at saving, probably just like you, and you've built that retirement account over those years, and now it's a time to transition that to income. But there may be certain scenarios where you're looking at that and saying, well, we're probably not going to spend all of that money over our lifetime. So what do we do if some of your goals may be to leave some money behind to children, grandchildren, different charities? And so that's where really life insurance can be a valuable planning tool that we look at, just trying to build that legacy. And there's a number of different ways you can structure that. And when it comes to retirement planning, there's probably specific tools that would be a better fit than maybe during your earlier working years. So definitely things to consider.
Yeah. Art, when you're talking about Social Security, the thing I hate to see is when people come into our office and they've already made the decision on Social Security. That's why income planning is so vitally important, because we can actually show people the trade-off between taking it early and waiting, and how maybe that has an effect with their savings. So highly encourage you, if you haven't taken your Social Security yet and you're getting close to retirement and want to see what that looks like for you, then absolutely give us a call. Now stay tuned, because in the next segment I'm going to be talking about standard deviation, which is a really fun word, right? and risks. So stay tuned.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power, because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors, specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the Tax Reform Act, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, December 10th at the Evergreen Resort in Cadillac. Wednesday, December 11th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, or Tuesday, December 17th at Big Buck Brewery in Gaylord. The live event starts at 6 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated financial decisions. Call 888-608-5825.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment, I want to talk about standard deviation. Now, this is financial jargon that we use in our industry, but I want to make you understand what it is and why you want to know more about this, okay? First of all, this is a bell curve. It's going to represent, this line here is going to represent an average rate of return of 6%. Okay? Now, why we have this bell curve is we want to understand what could possibly be the range of returns, that could deviate from that average. So let's say we had a standard deviation that was equal to 10. Okay? All that represents is that there's a 68% chance that it could deviate from that average by 10% either way. So 68% chance that we could have a minus 4% return or a plus 16% rate of return. Okay? Now in the bell curve, it also represents where the range of returns could deviate 95% of the time, but by another 10%. So in this particular case now, 95% of the time, we could see a range of return of minus 14 or plus 26. All right? Now again, based on the bell curve, represented by this line, it says that 99% of the time, the range of return could deviate another 10%, meaning we could have minus 24% or plus 36%. Now why is that important? Let's say I'm somebody that only wants to lose 5-10%, maybe. Say 10% is the most. But based on an average rate of return of 6%, okay, and a standard deviation of 10, I could possibly lose 24%, 99% of the time, or gain 36%. So if I'm that person that only wants to lose 5-10%, but it's possible I could lose 24%, then I'm not going to be happy with that. Okay? Now what is this 1% that it's not representing? Those are black swan events. Those are unexpected things that happen that were unexpected that could drive it even farther from these ranges, meaning it could possibly lose 1% at a time, lose more than 24% or gain more than 36%. Now, look back 100 years, I dare say we've had more than just one black swan event. They happen a little bit more occasionally than we think they do, but that's what that's representing. Now, any portfolio we can take a look at, and we can look at the whole thing and actually tell you, one, what is its average rate of return, what is the standard deviation, so you know the range that you're comfortable with. Very, very important in risk analysis. So I encourage you, if you're somebody that wants to know that, give us a call. If you're retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years, join us for an informative live event. This event is all about you, the challenges you face, and the information you need to help you build the future that you want. There's no pressure to become a client. Our goal is simply to give you valuable information that you can use to make smarter financial decisions. We hope that by the time you leave this event, you'll be one step closer to your retirement goals. Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment I want to talk about risk. How much risk are you taking on? A lot of people have their portfolio, they might have their mutual funds, but behind those mutual funds are a lot of securities. And a lot of folks want to know, Larry, as I'm positioned today, how did this portfolio do in 2008 when the market dropped a full 57%? How did this portfolio do? How did it do back in 2000 through 2002 when we went through that tech bubble and we went through that bear market? Knowing the answer to that question is very, very important. We actually have the tools to be able to show people what that is. We can take your existing portfolio as it is today, run it through an analysis and show you exactly how it did in 2008, how it did in 2000 through 2002, so you know how much actual risk you're taking. What was that drawdown? If I'm somebody that only wants to take 5-10% risk, I don't want to see it lose anything more than that, and the way I'm positioned today shows that I could lose 50%, is that a concern to me? It might very well be. And so we actually have the tools to be able to show you that. We can look at the bonds you're holding. Maybe you're just in fixed income and you have bonds and you want to know what's the credit qualityness of those bonds. One of the biggest concerns we have today is there's been a lot of corporate debt. And you're taking on a lot more risk if you're in what they call that high yield bond area. Well, how much of your portfolio is made up of that? Would that be a question you'd want to have answered? What about the yield of a portfolio? Now, the yield of a portfolio is actual interest and dividends being earned from the underlying securities. Usually, typically, the greater the yield, the lesser volatility you're going to have. So, knowing what that is very important. If it's only got 1% yield, meaning that's all it's getting in income, where's the other growth going to have to happen? It's going to have to come from the speculative piece. So, getting a risk analysis done, and we can do that for you, give us a call, is very important.
There was a great segment. The one thing that, is always we get into these financial jargon tools, and I think the one thing with standard deviation is it's much simpler than people, I think, may think to believe, but it's a really important one that often gets overlooked. I think when you hear people talk about investment, oftentimes they talk about averages, and especially right now, you have to be careful with those words, with averages and how they're looking at those. A lot of averages, not all, but a lot of them are calculated in a 10-year period, and now think back to when 10 years was. We're outside of that big market drop after 08, so those numbers can be kind of skewed. You don't get a down year in there to see really what that real average is over time. So keep in mind when you're looking at stuff and considering investments, if somebody's really pushing averages and it looks really good, make sure you see what that time horizon is, because you want to know what that standard deviation is so you can understand your risk. John, we have people coming in all the time to have us analyze their portfolios and stuff like that, and I know you had an interesting recent story.
Yeah, and guys, we always like to sit down with folks just like you and talk about how much risk can you take. That acronym: C, capacity; A, attitude; and N is need. And you want to focus on the attitude piece, because that's so often what we're talking about, and understanding sort of where your comfort level falls when it comes to risk, especially when it comes to retirement planning. And so we'll always sit down with you and talk through, okay, what is that for you? And a lot of times in a scenario where it's a husband and wife, maybe two different numbers that we find. And so recent visit with a couple, the husband in this case said, well, maybe about 11% I'd be okay with, and the wife said, well, about 8% is where she ended up falling. So then after that, we were able to dive in and analyze their current portfolios. And so when we did that, guys, it ended up one of the accounts, it was about negative 23%, and then one of the accounts was negative 53% was the risk that they were taking. And they had no idea, and they assumed that things should be what they wanted, but this was quite different than their expectations. So that's where we always encourage you to give us a call, and just we'll happily run that scenario for you in your retirement portfolio.
Yeah, when you're talking about earlier about most averages are just going back 10 years. I mean, we actually have the tools to go back 20, right? And we can show somebody how their portfolio positioned right now, how it did in 2000 through 2002, and how it did 2008, the last two recessions. And I'm shocked to how many times how much risk people have taken on, and what they said they wanted to take on are two different things, right? So anyway, all the more reason that you're going to want to have that analysis done. You want to give us a call. Now stay tuned, because in the next segment I'm going to be talking about in-service rollovers, what they are and how you can take advantage of them.
Are you retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years? Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner, and learn essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. 3 dates and locations to choose from. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Call 888-608-5825.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment, I want to talk to you about what's called in-service rollovers. If you're in a 401k plan, maybe a 403b plan at your job or your work, what you're going to want to know is it possible for me to roll that money over from my 401k, 403b into an IRA, or even my own existing IRA if I have one? Knowing this is very important. Now, many people believe that they have to wait till they're done working before they can do that. But you'll be pleased to know that a lot of plans will let you do it before you're done working. Some will say, well, you can do it at any time, which would be desirable. Some say you might have to wait to a certain age, let's say 59 and a half. And again, like I said, some might make you wait till you're done. But knowing whether you can do it or not is going to be very important. Why? Well, as you're aware, when you're in a 401k, 403b plan, your investment options are going to be limited. The plan administrators do this because they don't want you to have 1,000 different choices. That makes their administration much, much harder. So they're going to limit how many choices you have. But what if I'm somebody who wants more choice? Maybe I don't like the choices they've given me. Then I'm going to want to maybe get it over into an IRA where the whole world is available to me. Because anything an IRA can be invested in is going to be open to me. My choices become greater in that environment. So it's going to be important for you to call your plan administrator, find out. The question you might want to ask them is say, listen, I have an IRA. When am I allowed to take my money from my 403b, 401k and roll it over into the IRA? And they're going to tell you when you can do that. So knowing that is going to be very important. Now, a lot of people will ask this question. Larry, if I do that, do that rollover, is that going to create a taxable event? I can assure you that that is not a taxable event. When it's a rollover, it's going from one custodian to the other custodian. You're never receiving the money. So in that kind of event, there's no tax consequences. As a matter of fact, there's not even any reporting that has to happen because you never took custody of it. So again, check with your plan administrator, see what they allow, and then if you're somebody that can do it or wants to do it, then give us a call, because then we can show you those investment options that you might not have right now that are available in an IRA. I mean, you can have an IRA invested in gold. You can have an IRA invested in silver. It can be invested in real estate. There's a number of things that it can invest in, may be more appropriate for you under the circumstances. So give us a call.
A lot of great information there, Larry, about these in-service rollovers. And if you're currently working and have a 401k, all the reason to call your HR and just find out, is this an option for you? Because I think so often people look at this and they're saying, okay, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing with my retirement planning. I know I've got this money saved in a 401k. But what is that next step? And that's ultimately where I know we can come in and help analyze that and help determine sort of what your options are.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're getting near retirement. I think it could be scary. You know, you got this number here that's staring at you, knowing that you need to turn it in at income at some point. You know, you got Social Security built in that. And the biggest thing is, you know, we want to help you plan to retire well. You know, our focus here is to have a holistic approach and help you make these decisions. So, you know, especially in today's day and age where there's a lot of planning that needs to be done ahead of time. You know, maybe you're before 65 and you need healthcare planning, tax planning. You know, how is that going to generate the paycheck for the next 20 to 30 years potentially? All of those questions we can help you answer and working through that with you. But as John said, check with your HR department, see if that's available. And we'd love to have an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with you and walk through that planning with you. We appreciate you watching Retiring Well this week, and come back and check us out again next week right here at Retiring Well.